Hey guys, welcome back to another one of my videos. As promised, we are going back to making edible things. If you haven't checked out my DIY Halloween wreath, that was my last video and I think it came out really cute, so please go ahead and click that link. But yeah, we're doing nerdy stuff again. We are doing another Neon Genesis related project. I did make the Berserk Mode Ava Unit 01 chocolate sculpture. That is a mouthful, but go ahead and click this link. It should be up there or down below to check that out, because that was a pretty cool and definitely challenging sculpture, to say the least. But we are going into a different direction with Neon Genesis. The end of Evangelion, if you already know, then you know it's just a wild ride. So this cake is taken from a particular scene where it's Rei Ayanami, one of the main characters, who merges with Lilith. This is probably really confusing, and to be honest, I'm still a little confused after seeing it so many times. But it's a very symbolic image, I must say. And I do have to give credit to someone else for this idea. Someone had actually reached out to me through Instagram, and if you aren't following me through Instagram, please do. But they had wanted a cake for their birthday, actually 2 cakes, and one of them was giant naked Rei from this scene. And so I thought, what a brilliant idea. Let's go ahead and do it. So come along on this wild ride. Make sure to also subscribe so that you can come back and see cake number 2, actually chocolate sculpture number 2 for this person's order. It's a secret for now, but if you've checked out my social media, you might have an idea of who it's going to be. But yeah, stick around and I hope you enjoy this one. Oh, warning, it's a slightly graphic cake, and if the image of genitals offends you, then that's just a shame, and I hope you can come to terms with it. All right, here we go. I always go through Pinterest usually to find references, but maybe for obvious reasons I could not find the particular shot I wanted, so I had to go on Google. Rei Ayanami in her human form is your classic pretty anime girl. No weird features or anything like that, but in this scene where I am taking reference from, in particular, she merges with Lilith, which would only make sense if you've seen the anime or watched the manga, and becomes this giant version of herself that happens to have a particularly wonky face. Her eyes are both happy and eerie, and I wanted to make sure that those were accentuated on the cake. I sketched 2 perspectives just so I can get a better idea of how I want the 3D version of her to come out. Here's that second sketch, and I did remember to focus on those fine details. I had made a lot of white modeling chocolate, so this is the next day when it's all set. Rei comes off in the scene with very white skin and very white hair, but I also had to make extra white for my other cake that I was simultaneously working on, so yeah, a lot of white modeling chocolate. It took a lot of time to get this processed. You can't really tell because I skipped the kneading, but I was very tired. I also used a few other colors. I'm also including a lot of red that I'm not showing here, and the pink was obviously for her vagina forehead, obviously. You do see me use green. That was actually meant for the tiny little lime green neon crosses in that scene, but I ended up scrapping this part of the cake because it was a little too difficult for me to sculpt. I decided that I wanted to make her insides red, so it has a very dramatic effect when you cut into it, or when my customer wanted to cut into it. So of course landed on using red velvet. I always use cake box mix for my projects. It saves on time, I can get the right bake consistency every time. I'm actually an ultra mega novice baker, and fun fact, lots of bakeries use cake mix. And so when I need lots of time to sculpt, to pump out a project that has a short or a small window for turnaround, I'm definitely going to rely on cake box mix. I used 2 pans. One is square and the other is meant for loaves, quick bread like banana bread. And I cook them both at the same time, although if I had 2 loaf pans, I'd probably just stick to that. I then try to get as close as I can to the base shape that I want. All those nooks and crannies that make up her actual sculpted face can be done using the modeling chocolate. I found that trying to over sculpt on the cake sponge itself makes that sponge start to disintegrate due to all the carving and fine details. It really isn't worth it. It's better just to have a solid, as much as you can, flat surface so the cake can retain its integrity. So yeah, we're always going for a pretty basic shape. I then frost and crumb coat. My crumb coat always comes out pretty ugly because it's a big battle between yummy thick frosting and exposed sponge. It's always a messy battle. I'd prefer to have good frosting rather than like really thinned out loose frosting that's easier to apply because people are going to actually eat this thing. I then cover the whole cake in a thin layer of modeling chocolate so I have a much cleaner base to work off of. Putting sculpted details directly on the crumb coated cake would just kind of be a messy disaster. At least in my mind, it will, so it's better to play it safe. I got this giant container meant for industrial kitchens. I just moved and pretty much down the street we live next to a kitchen supplier, so I feel really lucky about that. But I bought this so I can seal my cake airtight in the fridge. Smart, isn't it? Cakes will soak up any smells that are lingering in there, so garlic, definitely no to kimchi. In fact, I'm looking into buying a cake fridge if business takes off a little bit more. I usually sculpt sections at a time, which could mean trouble for pieces that require a smoother look, and boy, is this a very smooth image to recreate. So as you saw, I decided to roll out modeling chocolate, which is something I never do. It'll probably, to someone who doesn't know about modeling chocolate, look like fondant. But yeah, it came out great. And this is where I learned where I should keep rolling out chocolate instead of being a real stubborn mule like I like to be. It also gave me more confidence in doing anime. She has very defined lines, and perfect lines seem like a nightmare to me, but working on this raid project really bolstered my confidence. I feel like she has this kabuki feel at this stage. Like I mentioned, I wanted to make sure her eyes came out right and have them bulge a bit like they do in the scene. She's supposed to be beautiful, pristine, and also make you a little bit uncomfortable, or make you a lot uncomfortable. I skip around a bit, so unfortunately I didn't show how I added the pupils, and I do apologize about that. But now you can see me carve out her forehead where that third eye slash vagina is supposed to go. For the cake board, I wanted to cover the whole thing in red, kind of like how the earth slash floor looks like in this image. The earth is ending, and I'm pretty sure it's a mixture of like blood and souls that reflect beneath her. But yeah, this is where all that red that I mentioned previously comes into play. Just a thin layer right onto the cake board itself. I then did a mixture of red and black food dye because it isn't like a straight up red color on the base, and gave it some detail. There's also a lot of sparkle in that scene, and what better way to show that off than using edible glitter. I randomly kind of just dusted here and there with a dry paintbrush. Last step is to do some gentle shading. She is all white, but she does cast a shadow in some places, sort of like the clown cake I made previously. Make sure you check that one out. He's like in my top 5 favorite cakes I've ever made. And for the shading, I went with a bluish gray color. So I apply the paint, and then I go in with a paper towel and take most of it off because I do want that shading to be very subtle. Sorry to say that I didn't capture the tree of life, this red thing poking out of her head, but here she is completed. That was my giant naked Ray cake, although it was just the head. But I have to say I was actually really nervous slash excited. It was like 50-50 because I usually stray away from doing human characters from animes because they have such like perfect faces, smooth skin, no blemishes, and you know, I'm a texture girl. So to do something that looks so perfect, although it's not like she came out perfect, was very nerve-wracking for me. And to be able to do this and to pull it off was such a confidence boost. And on a personal level, I feel like this cake was a really good step in the direction of doing this full-time for other people. To be very candid, it's hard to spend so many hours on things and not have that much exposure to a lot of people. Like, you get insecure, you doubt yourself, is this any good? Why won't the algorithm work? Am I not good enough for the algorithm? You know, just like you come up with this, what is it called? Cognitive distortions. I learned that in therapy, but it's cognitive distortions that I deal with a lot. And to actually meet someone and deliver this to them, and for them to say that it exceeded their expectations, was so gratifying. And I know I shouldn't find value in like social media numbers or anything like that, but you know, I gotta say, like, it really means something, and it really puts value into the work that I do when it can be appreciated. And so the fact that you watched this to the very end, I know it's a shorter video, but the fact that you stuck around means so much to me. And it's just like, okay, I don't have to focus all of my energy into a crap job that I hate. I can actually do the things that I love, and it'll mean something more than just to me, but to other people too. And that's like So nice. So anyways, not to get too sappy, I just wanted to express my gratitude to everyone for watching this. It really means a lot, and I hope you stick around for the next one, because the next one's going to be really cool, especially if you're really into anime and into a very popular series that's going on right now. So make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell, and I will see you next time. Bye.